Well, this year was bad, but at least the music was good. Hi everybody, my name is Charles and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi, my name is Charles and yes, this is my channel. So it's officially the end of 2020 and thank God, but you know what, as I said, the music from this year was pretty good and I thought I would talk about my top 10 albums from this year. There were a lot of good albums from this year from a lot of people, but it was kind of hard to whittle this list down to 10, but I managed to do it. I mean, I haven't listened to everyone's album from this year. There are a lot of albums from this year that I haven't heard, and I'm like, I will listen to them in 2021. But you know what? For now, this is my top 10 albums ranking of 2020. At number 10 at my top 10 list would have to be Twice's Eyes Wide Open album, which came out, I think it was like at the end of October, and this album was pretty great. I'm not the biggest fan of K-pop music, and I'm not as obsessive as a lot of other people are, but you know what? When it comes to people like Blackpink and also Twice, I don't know, something about their music really gets me, and Twice's album Eyes Wide Open really just drew me in. It really had everything that I wanted from an album. It gave me like a lot of dance songs, it gave me a lot of emotional songs, and I'm just like, yeah, how an album should be. And I don't know if there was like a real story arc in that album, but I really was loving it when I listened to the album, and I recently re-listened to it, and I was like, yeah, this album a few months later still holds up. I mean, I've heard songs from Twice before this second album of theirs, but you know what? I've never heard like a whole body of work from them, unless you count listening to like a whole EP. Then I've heard their whole Feel Special EP like through and through. But you know what? Like, I really love that EP, but like I was really wondering how a whole album from them would sound, and hearing Eyes Wide Open, I was like, this is great, and I really cannot wait to listen to more from them, like this upcoming year in 2021. I've listened to a few singles from them recently, and I'm like, these are good, so I cannot wait to go back through time to see what they released like a long time ago when they're really apparently like bubblegum pop. And you know what? Sometimes bubblegum pop is good, so hopefully I like what I hear from them when I go back and listen to some of their older stuff. When it comes to the best song from this album, for me, hands down, it would have to be their lead single, I Can't Stop Me. Ugh, that song is something I listen to all the time. It's like at the top of my playlist, and I'm always listening to it, and I'm just like, yes, I can't stop me, girl. I can't stop me. And yeah, my God, it is an amazing song, and yeah, one of the best songs I've heard from this year, period. Before I move on to the next album on my list, I'm just gonna, listen to I Can't Stop Me real fast because, girl, I wanna listen to the best song from every album before I move on to the next one. So, yeah, real fast. I can't stop me, can't stop me, can't stop me. I know it's not right. I can't stop me, can't stop me. Whoa, whoa. At number 9 on my top 10 albums of 2020 would be Confetti from Little Mix, and honestly this album really holds a special place in my heart now because as if you're a fan of Little Mix, you now know that this is the last album that Jessie is going to be on because she's left Little Mix, and emotions. I mean, this is Little Mix's 6th studio album, so I mean, Jessie has put her time in, and all the controversy that's like going behind the scenes with Jessie about how people just kept like attacking her online about her weight and all that, and like her whole mental state. I'm just like, ooh, baby girl, I really want you to stay in the band, but at the same time, I'm like, you gotta do what you gotta do for your mental health. And I'm just like, it's really heartbreaking, but you know what, at least she was a part of this album, and like, it's a pretty good album, so at least she like leaves a good stamp and maybe footprint, legacy, whatever on Little Mix before she heads out the door. Confetti had a lot of good songs on it, a lot of danceable songs, a lot of songs that hit hard, and also a lot of songs that had emotional meaning to it. Even the ones like Happiness or like Sweet Melody, those ones are like danceable songs, but if you look at the lyrics and actually like pay attention to what they're saying, there's some deeper meaning, and I'm just like, this album had a lot of songs like that, and I'm like, looking at Little Mix's like discography, I'm like, this album I would say is their most mature album, but I'm still waiting for them to like swear on an album. Do it, girls. Do it. But yeah, nothing but well wishes to Little Mix. I hope that Perry and Jade and Leanne are able to, come together, just the three of them, and make a really stunning album that will be released in maybe like 2 or 3 years and like show us what they can do, just the three of them. But yeah, all the love to Little Mix, and this album, it is pop confection. As I said, there are a lot of like good songs in this album, a lot of danceable ones that I really listen to a lot, but you know what, it really came down to either Sweet Melody or Happiness for the best song in the album for me, and when I really thought about it, I was like, I gotta give it to Happiness because Happiness has the best lyrics, and I don't know, not only is it danceable as I said earlier, but the lyrics are really touching, and I'm a sucker for a song that talks about like finding happiness within yourself and all that, so yeah, it had to be my favorite song from the album. I'm never gonna lose me again. I'm gonna let them sing. I was searching for happiness. Feeling my loneliness. Oh, my hair. At number 8 on my list would have to be After Hours from The Weeknd, and my god, it is crazy how this album got no Grammy nominations. I know the president of the whole Recording Academy was all like, it's no conspiracy theory, we weren't like trying to do this to him like to like get back at him for performing at the Super Bowl, and I'm just like, baby, this album is like critically acclaimed. It is selling a lot. It's sold a lot of album sales already. The single sales as well, just for Heartless and what's the other song? Blinding Lights. Heartless and Blinding Lights, the two main singles from this album, like sold a lot, like streamed a lot, and I'm just like, they both topped the charts at like number 1. I think both of them went to number 1. At least one of them did, and I'm just like, baby, this album and at least some of the songs would have gotten nominations. So it's crazy that this like really good album was snubbed just because the Grammys were mad at them. I mean, honestly, this is why I'm like, sometimes award shows I'm like, y'all a little suspect. Not a little, y'all a lot suspect. This album had a really good story from the start of the album to the end of the album, and it had really good production behind all the songs. I'm just like, yes, give me 80s synth pop. And I'm like, if this album really got nominated, it would have been crushing the pop categories because it is a true pop album and The Weeknd just crushes it, like, fully and completely. So my favorite song from the album, hands down for me, would have to be Hardest to Love. I just love the lyrics of the song, and I really love the production. It really just, it gives me everything I want from a song. At number 7 on my list would have to be Plastic Hearts from Miley Cyrus, and by God, Jove, whatever the expression is, did she come swinging harder than a wrecking ball, y'all. I mean, Miley Cyrus has kind of been gearing up to be going into this, kind of rock pop like area for a long time. It was really being felt around like even the Bangers era, which was more pop hip hop. I could feel the rock kind of like coming out, and then even with her like EP, what's it called? She's Coming, and even with Younger Now with like the song Bad Mood, I was like, I'm feeling the rock vibe slowly come in. And when this album was like starting to come together and like promotion was starting, I was like, she's in her bag, Miley's in her bag. The album really addresses a lot of things going on in Miley's personal life, and she really like deconstructs everything going on in her life and addresses the media and addresses old flames, old lovers, and I'm just like, girl, she is putting it all out for us to see on display in a very vulnerable but powerful way, and I was just like, yes, Miley. Yes, 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 yes. I love how, like, at the start of the album, like, the first half of the album is pretty aggressive with the sound, pretty aggressive, pretty upbeat, and the lyrics are more powerful in the sense that, like, she's talking about being in control, and you get this feeling like Miley is really, like, that girl, she's that bad bitch. But in the second half of the album, it's giving you more vulnerable Miley, more emotional Miley, and I'm like, she really was showing us the range of not only her vocals and her lyricism, but her as a person. Seriously, I expected this whole album to be like rock on, but I was very surprised that she had emotional layers on this album to show us, and yeah, this was just very surprising, and honestly, this album is one of Miley's best albums alongside Bangers, because Bangers is what that girl, and put some respect on that album and her era of Bangers, because even though that was a messy era, it was an iconic one. And so is this album, and so is this album's era. What's the album name? Haha, I know the album's name, it's Plastic Hearts. For me, the best song on this album would have to be Angels Like You. I was gonna say Prisoners or What the Fuck Do I Know or even Midnight Sky, but I was like, no. Angels Like You has such beautiful lyrics in it, and I don't know, it is just like a good song in general, and I don't know, it's not something that you can dance to, but it's something that just reaches you emotionally, and it sounds really good. The production of the song is amazing, so I was like, Angels Like You, yes. And also, I'm pretty sure the song is about Liam Hemsworth, and I'm like, wow, this song is a really nice way of her to be like, yeah, I'm sorry I'm not what you want. The song in general, I'm like, it's a sorry to you, but also it's whatever, because this is me and I'm gonna do me, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be what you wanted, but it's like whatever. And I'm like, wow, this song, ooh, it's so good. Say that misery loves company. It's not your fault I ruin everything. And it's not your fault I can't be what you need. Baby, angels like you can't fly down there with me. Number 6 on my list would have to be Future Nostalgia from Dua Lipa, and my god, what a change of pace for her from album 1, her self-titled album, to this album now. Dua was really starting like the rollout for this whole era in, I think, November of last year with Don't Stop Now, and she really like promoted that song until the wheels broke off of that wagon. But you know what? Good for her, because it's a record of the year, I believe, and it has a lot of nominations just for the song Don't Stop Now. This whole album has a lot of nominations in general, and I'm like, good for Dua getting those Grammy nominations. But like this album, at first I was like, it's good, but like it's not like tickling my fancies. But upon listening to the album more and more and more, I'm just like, actually no, this is pretty good, even though I don't like a few of the songs at the back end. Dua really brought disco back, and I'm like, yes, we need more pop and disco songs, like The Weeknd's After Hours, which was 80s or 90s synth pop. I'm just like, this album brought like disco back, and I'm like, yes, we need more albums just to dance to. And yeah, this album really gave me serotonin. It gave me serotonin during this whole pandemic, and if it hasn't given you serotonin during this pandemic, then I don't know what's gonna give you serotonin, baby. Seriously, if anyone, any artist this year has really promoted their album and their singles and all that, it's Dua Lipa. She was at every like award show that she could be at. She was at every like late night show that she could be at, either in person or like via like Zoom or whatever. She was on Saturday Night Live. She did her whole Studio 2054 concert online stream thing. She is just like, yes, I am hungry and I am just trying to entertain y'all. And I'm like, thank you, Dua. You really gave us the entertainment and like serotonin and happiness that we needed during these times. I gotta say, it is crazy that her album like leaked early, and then she like released the album a week early because she was like, COVID and this pandemic and these lockdowns that like were the very start of like seriously, her album was released right as all that was going down, like at the very start of everything going on right now. And she was like very sad in her Instagram live stream, and she was just like, I'm gonna release this early, not only I feel like because it was leaked, but also she was just like, I want us to all feel good and like have like good times during these like hard times. And I was like, thank you. Once again, thank you, Dua Lipa. She really was doing the work with this album in general and all the promotion and things she's been doing for the album, and you know, for all of us who are listening to it. So I'm just like, yes, Dua Lipa, you did that. This album is a very tight album. Most of the songs are like really great. There's only like I think 1 or 2 songs that I don't gel with on this album. But yeah, other than those 2 songs, which I'm not going to talk about, this album's pretty great and full of bangers. For me, the best song on this album is hands down Physical. I mean, this is the 2nd single from the album, and yet I'm pretty sure it flopped. Like, it didn't reach that high on the Billboard Top 100, and I'm just like, y'all failed this. And when I say y'all, I mean the general public. Y'all failed this amazing song. Y'all failed it. Y'all failed it. Ugh. It's pop perfection, and it flopped. Come on, let's get physical. Lights out, follow the noise. Baby, keep on dancing like you ain't got a choice. So come on, come on, come on, people. Let's get physical. Number 5 on my list would have to be I Can Feel You Forgetting Me from the Neon Trees, and man, that is a band I have not heard of for the longest time until this year. I mean, I thought they were gone, but you know, apparently they were gone, and they came back this year and released this album, which is utter perfection in my opinion. This album paints such a vivid story. It really paints like the aftermath of a breakup with someone that you've been in a relationship for a long time. And I've never been in a relationship, but this album really made me feel like I had gone through a whole ass relationship for years, and then it was just over, and me reeling with the emotions I had after like the fallout, and I'm just like, wow. Listening to the whole album is quite the journey, you guys. It's quite the journey. Oh my gosh, I feel teary-eyed just thinking about it. Honestly, I feel like not enough people have heard this album, so if you haven't heard I Can Feel You Forgetting Me from the Neon Trees, then do yourself a favor and go listen to it, because it is such a heartfelt album, all while delivering its message in a very upbeat and fun way. I mean, I was dancing my ass off while being sad to a lot of these songs, honestly. For me, the best song on the album would have to be Mess Me Up. I like Holy Ghost too, and I like Going Through Something a lot too, but Mess Me Up just really gives me this emotional energy of, baby, if you're gonna do this to me, just do it already, cause I can't wait. I don't like this anticipation, and it is such a good song. So if you're gonna mess me up, don't do it slowly. If you're gonna lead me on and act like you know me. But if you're gonna get me addicted, you have my permission. I think I know how these things go. Mess me up, don't do it slow. Number 4 on my list would have to be Disco from Kylie Minogue, Miss Kylie Minogue. And honestly, Dua Lipa was serving as disco in Future Nostalgia, but Kylie Minogue said, no baby, I'ma show you what disco is. Like Future Nostalgia, this album really gave me serotonin. It's full of danceable songs and really good production numbers. And honestly, a lot of people were not feeling this album for some reason, but you know what? They just don't want to have fun. They don't want to let serotonin run through their brain and make them feel good, because this album is just a feel-good album. I listen to this album a lot because it really just makes me dance and makes me smile and happy, and yeah, that's what I needed this year. And Miss Kylie Minogue with her 15th studio album did that, you guys. It honestly is one of the best albums of the year, and some people just aren't ready for that conversation. I feel like Miss Dua Lipa was copying Miss Kylie Minogue, because Kylie Minogue did her whole Infinite Disco thing when her album came out, and Dua Lipa's album came out in March, but I think it was in October, November, when Dua Lipa was Studio 2054, and I'm like, you saw Kylie Minogue, and you saw what she did, and how successful she was, and I'm like, once again, Miss Kylie Minogue showing that she is that girl, and yeah, the songs that she performed on Infinite Disco, amazing, great. She is that girl. She is talented, and she has the vocals no autotune. Kylie Minogue is that girl. I mean, Kylie Minogue was at Dua Lipa's Studio 2054 live stream. They sang Real Groove together, and you can listen to that song now because they've released that remix, and I'm like, it's okay, but I would have liked if Dua Lipa, just sang a verse. But you know what? Kylie said, no, girl, you're just gonna add background vocals to the chorus, and that's it. That's it. There are so many great songs from this album, but for me, the best song on this album would have to be Supernova, cause man, the backing vocals on the song, especially in the last third of it, iconic, stunning, amazing. And I've seen Kylie sing this live at the whole Infinite Disco live stream, and I was like, baby girl, she does it even better live. My God, she, vocalist Kylie Minogue. From another galaxy like Jupiter or Mars. It's just a little bit of your starlight. Number 3 on my whole list would have to be Evermore from Miss Taylor Swift. And honestly, I thought this album would be higher up in my rankings, but you know what? I had to take a step back and be like, baby, you have to realize this is the right placement for it. Taylor Swift dropping a second surprise album this year, she blew us all away. She blew us all away. When I got the email from her whole store being Evermore comes out tonight, I was dead. I was going into work and I was like, I don't want to go into work. And when I saw the email, I said, a reason to live. She said that this album is a sister album to Folklore, and I'm like, it really is. It kind of feels like Folklore, but it's not like these are B-sides to Folklore. They feel like more of an evolution. Folklore, was more of stories not really based on her, but at the same time relating to her and her life. But with this album, it feels more like the majority of the songs on it are really talking about her and her life. I really, truly love this album so much. I love all the songs in the album. Yeah, some of them are weaker than others, but I really do love all the songs in this album, and I love this album as a whole. But you know what? When I took a step back, I said, the impact of this is still great, but Folklore and one other album from this year were stronger with what they were doing. So I was like, we have to put this just at number 3. As I said, there are a lot of great songs in this album, but my favorite song from this album would have to be the titular song, Evermore. Her and Bon Iver. Bon Iver is not a person. Nicki Minaj, the white man, Bon Iver, even though it's Justin Vernon, I think is the lead singer from Bon Iver. But yeah, I'm just like, the two of them, their vocals on this song, ooh, so beautiful. Ugh, my god. I know Folklore, you know what, I'll get to that. I'll get to that later when I get to Folklore. But this song, it is pure magic, and I cry listening to it sometimes. And I swear, is there a line that we can just go across? Number 2 on my whole list would have to be Chromatica from Lady Gaga, and this is Lady Gaga's, I believe, 6th studio album, and it really came swinging, and for a moment there I was like, this is the number 1 album of the year for me. But after taking a step back and re-listening to this album and the album that I think is number 1, I was like, no, this album is number 2. I feel like people dismiss this album so easily. They're just like, ah, it's a dance album, blah blah blah. It's like, has no meaning to it. It's very soulless and shallow. But I'm like, if you actually pay attention to the lyrics of the songs in this album, you can tell they're very deep. And you know, this is Lady Gaga like going through a journey of like healing. And I'm just like, yes girl, yes, yes. Like Future Nostalgia and Disco, Chromatica really was giving me the serotonin I needed to get through this year. This is one of the most listened to albums for me this whole year. Like, when this album came out, I listened to it for like over a month straight. Like, this is the only album I would listen to, and I'm just like, this album deserves more credit than it's given. It's honestly one of Lady Gaga's best albums, and it really deserved more Grammy nominations than just the 2 it got. But you know what? It's whatever. It's whatever. Lady Gaga's like, whatever. I have so many Grammys from A Star Is Born just off A Star Is Born. She's like, whatever. But you know what? Hopefully, when this whole pandemic's over, we are able to go see the Chromatica Ball, because this album and the whole era Lady Gaga was serving us was very empty. Like, she'd be like, Rain on Me music video, and then it'd be like silence for a long time. Then she'd be like, live performance at the VMAs, and then it'd be like silence. And then she'd be like, 911 music video, and then it'd be like silence. But then again, for some reason, every time we keep blasting off to Chromatica, we end up in hell in like what's going on around us. So maybe Lady Gaga's just like, for now, maybe it's just whatever. But we need more promotion of this album, and honestly, off the merit of how good the album is, it is number 2 for me. But you know what? If she just did more promotion, then it probably would have been number 1 for me. But like, you know, I count things like promotion and things you're serving us like with performances and all that into like my consideration for like best album and all that. So yeah, this album has a lot of great songs in it, but for me it would have to be Rain on Me, which stands out as the best song on the album. I know that kind of sounds a little basic, but you know what? I jam to this song so much. It's like I Can't Stop Me. I just listen to it all the time. It's at the top of my playlist. And this song will be winning Best Pop Duo Performance at the Grammys. Hands down. Like, I would like to see Taylor Swift's Exile maybe win, but I feel like Rain on Me is going to win, and it honestly should. But if it's not this song, it should be Exile. But yeah, Rain on Me is my favorite song, and I think the best song off this album. Rain on me, rain on me, at least I'm alive. Rain, rain on me, I hear the thunder coming down, won't you rain on me, hey, yeah, rain on. If you haven't already deduced what my number 1 album of the year would be, then interesting, but you know, I'm gonna say it right now, my number 1 album of the year would have to be Folklore from Miss Taylor Swift. Yes, Miss Taylor Swift not only dropping 1 album this year, 2 albums, and both of them being amazing. I mean, who thought she had it in her to do a surprise album? I mean, certainly not me, but honestly, I'm very, very like shocked and amazed by what Taylor Swift has produced with Folklore. It doesn't sound like anything else she's ever done, and honestly, it feels so right for her as a natural progression as an artist, especially coming off Lover. I'm just like, Lover had its moments, but Folklore feels like the right direction. It feels like, honestly, to be honest, we could just scroll out Lover and go from Reputation to this. But as I said, Lover has its moments, but this album really feels like the mature Taylor. This and Evermore, they feel like the mature Taylor, and they feel like the direction of music that she should be going in. It's like how Miley with Plastic Hearts, it feels like that music that she made is the right direction that she should be going in. I initially thought that Evermore was better than Folklore, but once I re-listened to Folklore, I was like, oh no, Folklore is really that girl. It, like, sticks around in your mind for a reason, and it got nominated for Best Album of the Year for a reason, because it is the best album of this year. It really is so good, it's haunting, it's beautiful, and I'm just like, wow, Taylor Swift really snapped making folklore. Also, I really do love this whole storyteller aspect she took with this album, using like myths and like telling stories and how those stories she told like connect to her own life without explicitly like saying this is also something I've been through or whatever. It's like if you know Taylor Swift, listen to these songs, it's like, huh, these songs kind of sound like something that like connects to her life. And it's like if you know her, then it will connect. But if you don't and you just listen to this album without knowing anything about Taylor Swift, then it's just a beautiful album in general. And I'm just like, amazing, amazing Taylor. Honestly, I love Dua Lipa and I love that she got a lot of Grammy nominations, but I think it's about time for our girl Taylor Swift. Well, at least she's my girl. Like, if you're watching this, hopefully you love Taylor Swift too. But like, I am rooting for her to sweep the Grammys. I know y'all are like, a lot of people are like, we don't like Taylor Swift or whatever, or like her 1989 sweep was like already enough. But I'm like, baby, I feel like it's time to come for our third album of the year Grammy and winning a bunch of other Grammys too. I'm just like, to be honest, it is honestly something that reverberates with me, and I listen to this album every once in a while and I'm like, yes, give me soothing, give me beautiful, give me haunting, give me all of that. So yes, this should be winning multiple Grammys. If not, y'all gonna make Taylor Swift sad. Don't do it. There are so many beautiful songs in this album, and I'm like, ugh, hard decision to choose which is the best song from this album. But you know what? When it comes right down to it, my heart is like My Tears Ricochet. And My Tears Ricochet is such a beautiful song. It's haunting, and the storytelling is really good. And I'm just like, in terms of track 5 Taylor Swift songs, it really is like close to All Too Well. I'm just like, ugh. The storytelling in the song, it's beautiful. It's honestly one of Taylor Swift's best songs, hands down. And you can aim for my heart, go for blood, but you would still miss me in your blood. You hear my stolen lullabies. Well, that was my top 10 albums of the year. I mean, it was kind of hard to will it down. There were other albums like Ariana Grande's Positions or like Rina Sawayama's Sawayama, her debut album. There were a lot of albums from this year that I was like, ooh, this is great. But you know what? I had to trim it down and be like, these are the top 10 albums that I've heard from this year that are the best for me. As I said earlier at the start of this video, there are some albums from this year that I haven't heard, so I will be catching up with those albums in 2021. Anyways, tell me down below in the comments what your favorite albums of this year were. I mean, there was so much music that was released this year, so, there are bound to be a lot of albums that you guys might tell me that I haven't heard of that I could and should listen to. By the way, if you guys like what you saw here, you should go subscribe to my channel because I do music reactions, I talk about movies and Blu-rays, and I talk about whatever else I want to talk about in the pop culture realm because, it's my channel, so I'm going to do whatever I want to do here. Anyways, thank you guys for coming to this channel and watching this video and, listening to me sing 10 songs off key that I love from each of these albums and, yeah. Yep. Okay, until the next video, you guys, I'm gonna go now. Have a happy New Year's and yeah. Yep, bye.